Give yourselves that pat on the back. You did it. You made it to Friday on a Halloween Friday. And we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But thank you for joining us. Welcome in. So many things to talk about today in a crazy, crazy sports weekend that gets going for us this evening. If most people can watch most of what's going on. We'll get to that here in just a little bit. Feel free to comment along if you're watching along. As always, follow us on all of our social channels at Mike Arana Show, everywhere but Snapchat, because we're not 12 and Snapchat sucks, as we so eloquently tell you every week. TJ tells you. That's TJ's line on the program. But we got a lot to get to. A streaming pissing contest that affects just us, just the fans. Game 6 in the 6th, the Dolphins, and why I think they could learn a lesson from the San Jose Sharks, and brace your eyes for what's coming tonight. Also, you know, we sit here, and in life, timing is absolutely everything. You know, we were on the other nights, and I had written my notes for what I wanted to say off the top of the show. You know, you want to bring in energy, you want to set the table for what you're going to talk about for the night. And then David Schneider and Vladimir Guerrero went back to back. And literally at the top of my notes was why the Dodgers should be panicked right now about this Blue Jays team. And I sent the boys a text in our group message, and I said, damn, if we were on 30 minutes earlier, this would have sounded a lot better. Not like, oh, I was going to say this kind of stuff. So we'll get to all that here in just a second. As always, feel free to comment along if you're watching along. We'll get as many of those up on the show as we can. So many things coming up. We've got some thoughts on the World Series. Tonight's Big Mac kickoff game will look at the SEC battle between Texas and Vanderbilt early tomorrow morning. TJ's got After Dark. That'll come up tomorrow on our social channels. USC and Nebraska, a blackout for the black shirts in what's expected to be kind of a cold evening. And how does that affect that game? TJ will have plenty of thoughts on that. As always on the weekend, the Sunday spread and Sunday night Mac. Mac is exploring holes on the hockey side. If you didn't see that this morning, get on over to our social channels and check that out. Let's look at what's going on in the sports world today, though. A lot of stuff on and off the field and in boardrooms. And it didn't take very long. And this is where I say timing is everything. I'm watching the end of the Thursday night football game last night, and I'm sitting here. You know, all the talk is on our guy Miami Mike and why he needs to go and when are the Dolphins going to fire him and all that stuff. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself last night, how about the guy that put this entire team together? Chris Greer. Well, he was let go this morning. That's why I say timing is everything in life. Because I literally learned something new about Chris Greer that I did not know last night. And really kind of dove into that whole thing and what's going on with the Dolphins situation. Wake up this morning, and the first thing I see when I pick up my phone is Chris Greer has been removed of his duties by the Miami Dolphins in a mutual decision. I think the writing was on the wall last night. We saw Stephen Ross with his binoculars. We also saw Stephen Ross leave the stadium early. And as Al Michaels so eloquently put towards the end of that game last night, you know, a lot of time people leave games early to beat traffic. Well, that was not something you needed to worry about last night in Miami. We'll get to some more nuts and bolts on that here in just a second. But some news and notes from around the league and around the leagues, as I should say. Travis Hunter headed to IR after a non-contact injury to his knee in practice. Still trying to learn what is exactly going on with that. But it sounds like IR is the move for now. And that's something to keep an eye on as it goes forward. You know, he's had kind of an average start to his NFL career. The dynamics that he brings to the table, everything that he can do on the field. So A tough loss for the Jaguars, and you hate to see it. When we have these athletes, and we talk about this all the time, we really need to appreciate greatness when it sits in front of us. Obviously, what Vladimir Guerrero is doing in the World Series, what Shohei Ohtani seemingly does every damn day, appreciate what we got. I'm from the Bay Area. I was born to despise the Dodgers from the second I was on this earth. That being said, you're a fool if you don't think what Shohei Ohtani does is just mind-blowing. What Vladimir Guerrero has done this whole postseason, what Travis Hunter can do on a football field. Appreciate the greatness when it sits in front of us. So, tough blow for him, tough blow for the Jaguars. Ramondre Stevenson is going to sit out this weekend due to a toe injury against the Falcons. Lots of injury news around the NFL. Will Brock Purdy play for the 49ers? Will he or won't he as they travel to New York to take on the Giants on that crappy turf at MetLife? The Giants who will play the rest of the season now without Cam Scatterbo. Some more information coming out about that. It's going to be a long road to recovery. But if there's anybody that could do it, it's that crazy dude that wears 44 for the Giants and Cam Scatterbo. Sam Leavitt, quarterback of the Arizona State Sun Devils. Foot injury. He's going to have season-ending surgery. He is done for the year. And if you've seen the injury report for the Devils as they take on Iowa State this weekend, it's brutal, man. No Leavitt now, obviously, for the rest of the year. No Jordan Tyson this week. That came out this morning on a local show, Bickley and Murata in the mornings on Arizona Sports here. Tough blow for the Devils, man. Really, really tough blow for the Devils. And it's been an interesting year for them. Speaking of quarterbacks, Jaden Daniels will be back on Sunday night for the Commanders against the Seahawks. I think that's going to be a fantastic game. Mac will have his thoughts, as I said, on Sunday Night Football on his usual segment on Sundays, Sunday Night Mac. The LSU athletic director, Scott Woodward, he is gone. Man, that LSU thing, we need a documentary. Maybe Netflix is on this. Maybe HBO or Max or HBO Max or just HBO, whatever the hell they are now. Peacock, somebody's got to get on this LSU situation because it's hilarious. My favorite governor, Jeff Landry, the great state of Louisiana, had to cycle back some of the things he said the other day. I am not picking the next head coach at LSU. You might not be, but you might have thinned the pool for the coaches at LSU, the potential coaches that LSU could be looking at. So plenty of stuff. Shohei Ohtani. If the World Series gets to Game 7, Dave Roberts is saying everything's on the table. He could start in the outfield. He could start the game. There's plenty of things. But you got to get to Game 7 first. The Dodgers are loose, if you've seen the video already. Dave Roberts trying to race Ha-Seong Kim. Face plants. Dodgers, if anybody can pull this off, it's the Dodgers. This is what they spent all that money to do. This is what they built that team to do. So, plenty of stuff to get to. Let's get into Thursday Night Football. Baltimore, 28-6 over Miami last night. Nobody's surprised there. I think we all kind of went into that game expecting to see a blowout, and we got it. And I want to give a shout-out to the Dolphins on this. And let me throw this out first, with it being Halloween. Halloween is a kid's holiday. But I give credit to the Dolphins for getting in the holiday spirit early last night, because they did dress up as a professional football team. Now, Miami's defense showed up to play last night. And we've seen Miami's defense show up to play on a couple of different occasions. It's Friday, man. Let it all loose. Let it all out. They did it against the Bills earlier this season. They showed up to play on defense. The Ravens had a total of 23 offensive snaps in the first half. Lamar, no yards rushing in the first half. Derrick Henry, 30 yards rushing in the first half. But I think we saw the writing on the wall. There was two things. One, the fourth down sequence where they go for it and they get a penalty, and then they try and kick a field goal, and they miss the field goal. The Dolphins make me cry. That was literally a summary of the Dolphins season, all encapsulated in one fourth down sequence. But the second quarter tripping call on Ollie Gordon, they just had completed their first big play of the game, deep pass, beautiful pass from Tua to Jalen Waddle, and it gets called back for a tripping penalty on Ollie Gordon. A terrible break for a team that's really just struggling to do anything right now. And you could see the frustration on Mike McDaniel's face last night. And it was all kind of downhill from there. That was a terrible call. And in this day of replay assist and challenges and virtual measurements and all this stuff, this is something that I wish the NFL would actually take into consideration as we go forward. Because everybody that watched that saw the replay, except for the coach that ripped Ollie Gordon on the sideline. That's always positive to a rookie who made no mistake on the play. He gets his ass ripped coming to the sideline. Gordon's pissed. The coach is pissed. And if the coach would have seen the same replay we did, he didn't do anything. But then, as in every NFL game, there's a second half. Derrick Henry, first carry goes to him, a third down run by Lamar, 13 yards, his longest carry of the game. Baltimore goes right down the field. No resistance at all from the Miami defense. And you can say whatever you want about the situation, and Miami's defense in the second half didn't really do anything. Obviously, last night they couldn't cover that guy in the middle, Mark Andrews, 2 touchdowns for him last night. And all you people out there, again, we talked about this. The NFL trade deadline comes up on Tuesday. Tuesday is a big day in the sports world. NFL trade deadline, first college football playoff rankings get dropped. You know, we look at this and you go, well, the Miami defense was terrible in the second half. Well, when your defense is on the field as much as Miami's defense is, they can only hold you for so long. And they can only hold a team with this many offensive weapons down for so long. You know, everybody looks at box scores. You know, box scores tell the story. They don't always tell the story. This is what I look at when I look at a box score. These are the things that I look at and I go, okay, well, here's how the game, to me, was kind of won or lost. See, the sacks are even. Rushing yards. Again, the graphic's kind of blocking the teams. The Ravens on the left side of that graphic. Dolphins on the right side. 150 yards on the ground. We talked about it yesterday. If you saw the triple option, if you watched the show yesterday, Miami's defense, 145 yards a game is what they allow on the ground. Baltimore exceeded that total yesterday. 4.8 yards a carry. Baltimore 3 for 3 in the red zone. Miami 0 for 3 in the red zone. You know, and no resistance whatsoever. And the situation for Miami just keeps getting worse. Tua, 261 yards, 1 pick, 25 for 40 last night. Jalen Waddle had a good game. 6 catches for 82 yards. But outside of that, this Miami situation is going to get worse before it's going to get better. And it got worse if your name was Chris Greer this week, because, as I mentioned, he was relieved of his duties. Now, I learned something last night. And I can respect an owner for wanting to let a guy finish a year. You got to have the right guys on staff if you're going to remove a head coach in the middle of the season. Another thing to take into consideration here, in 2 weeks, the Dolphins are in Madrid to play the Commanders. So I get that, not making a switch of your head coach in the middle of the season. And the crew on Thursday Night Football on the pregame show yesterday, they talked about it. And it's fine if Mike McDaniel, not me, I wouldn't want that job. It's fine if Mike McDaniel still has a locker room. And I can respect the decision from ownership, and it sounds like they're going to let him finish the year from what we've learned today. But Mike looks miserable. Everybody on that team looks miserable. And the team, as a whole, extremely undisciplined. You know, a perfect example of the undisciplined nature of the Dolphins last night. The touchdown pass to Bateman that made it 28-7. Kind of a rush in the pocket. Lamar had to step up. Awkward throw. Bateman's running his route. I can't remember who the DB was that was covering him. Bateman just stops, and the DB runs to the far back corner of the end zone. Bateman's wide open. It's those kind of things, the undisciplined nature of them. All Bateman did was stop. And Lamar, I mean, he was cockeyed like this, threw the ball wide open. This is where timing in life is ironic. I literally wrote this last night as I'm watching the game. The Dolphins had to, my exact words, the Dolphins need to remove Chris Greer. He's had full control of football ops since 2019. He's been the GM since 2016. And the team's full of question marks. $58 million in dead cap money. The 10th highest payroll in the league. And I get it, Chris Greer had been with the team for 25 years. Before Stephen Ross was the full controlling owner of the Dolphins. But what are you telling your fans by keeping the guy that built this roster that is massively flawed by not removing it? Again, timing's everything in life, because I wrote that last night. Chris Greer was fired this morning. This is where I think a failure kind of occurred for the Dolphins. I learned last night that Chris Greer's brother is Mike Greer, who is rebuilding his own team right now, the San Jose Sharks in the NHL. What did he have to do? Remove a bunch of bad contracts, strip the thing down to the studs, and rebuild it up. And you've heard us talk about the Sharks on this show. They're a lot of fun to watch. TJ's words the other day, pond hockey is what the Sharks play. Last night, the Sharks go out and they beat the Devils. At the time, they were the best team in the league. I had no idea that Chris Greer's brother was Mike Greer until last night. And the thing that Mike Greer did in San Jose, which is why I think the Dolphins can learn from this, rebuilding a team full of bad contracts. Send people out. Trade deadline's coming up. Miami has an advantage. Baltimore has an advantage over all these other teams in the NFL coming up to the trade deadline. They played last night. The trade deadline's Tuesday. Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips. Those are guys of immense value to several teams in the league that need defensive playmakers. Get them out of there. Do right by them. Do right by your organization. If it keeps going this way, you're likely going to have to pick in the draft, which is an interesting situation for the Dolphins to be in. What do you do with Tua? A new general manager that comes in. What happens? How do you rebuild this team? Well, you take guys like that are valuable commodities right now. How many teams in the league need edge rushers? Need linebackers? You've got assets that need to be moved. And if you're going to be serious about anything, that's what you need to do. You know, an impressive thing I figured out last night in just watching about the Ravens team, and I think Herbie brought it up on the broadcast last night. They're actually tied, the Ravens, with San Francisco for the second fewest sacks in the entire league. The only team worse than both of them, as far as sacking the quarterback, is Jacksonville. And you know, we've talked about Jacksonville a lot on this show. Jacksonville is like that, you know, they pull me back in for Mac. He's always in and out on the Jags. They pull at him, and then he says he's done with them, and then they pull him back in. And Bradley Chubb, would he not help the Ravens sack the quarterback? Because the Ravens secondary gets the job done. They're just not getting to the quarterback right now. And as I've said a couple of times, when Mac asked me the question, when the Ravens were 1-5, do you think they're done? And I said no, because there he is. Next week it'll be, I love the Jaguars from Mac. You know, but the secondary is so tough for Baltimore if they can get some edge rushing. Kyle Van Noy being back on the field. You can see it. And last year this happened with the Ravens too. Their defense looked like crap for the whole first half of the season. And then they kind of figured it out, settled them in, got everything rolling. Ravens attempting to be the 5th team in NFL history to make the playoffs for 1-5 start. Cincinnati in 1970, Kansas City in 2015, Indianapolis in 2018, and the Washington football team in 2020. So plenty of stuff to watch there. Again, I don't think we're going to see a lot of major names moved at the trade deadline like a lot of people are thinking, because there's so many teams that are still in the mix in the NFL in both conferences. But we are going to see moves. And if I'm Miami, I've got like a call center set up today to call every team in the league and go, here's who we got. What are you going to give us? Because for the Dolphins to have the 10th highest payroll in the league and all that dead cap money, you've got to start to recoup this thing and rebuild this damn thing. Because the Dolphins haven't been relevant in a long ass time. I think it's safe to assume they're going to have a new head coach. Also safe to assume it seems like Mike McDaniel is going to finish the year if he doesn't lose the locker room. And that's a big if. So plenty of stuff to go over in the NFL. Again, the Sunday spread will be out early this week. I went 1-4 in the spread last week. I'm chomping at the bit to get this thing out. We're actually going to drop the spread tomorrow night. We're going to give 5 for 500 a little break. We need to kind of reset as a group, so we're going to give that a chance to breathe as we are at the halfway point in the season in our never-ending quest to find a 100-yard running back, a 100-yard receiver, and a 300-yard passer. Sounds easy. Clearly it's not, because we haven't been able to pull it off. Let's go to Toronto, shall we? For Game 6 of the World Series tonight, and this is going to be an interesting one. The big question for the Dodgers, can they get to Kevin Gausman's fastball? Can they get to it early? You know, I've busted the chops of the bottom side. The length of the Dodgers lineup is something that I've talked about all year, and I wondered if they had the length of the lineup. We've given you the stats. The bottom of the lineup has been absolutely horrible in trying to reset and get back to that top of the order. But I want to also be fair in the criticism here. The Dodgers 1-4 hitters from Game 5. So Ohtani, Smith, Betts, and Freeman. And yes, a lot of this has to do with how dominant Trey Savage has been. But those 4 went 1 for 15 with 8 strikeouts in Game 5. Mookie Betts, you know, you saw his comments after the game the other day. He said, I wish I could say it was for lack of effort. It's not. He said he's been terrible. A lot of stuff to watch tonight. And right now I'm going to tell you that this guy right here, I think, is the best pitcher in baseball right now. And you go, well, that's easy. There's only 2 teams playing. No. Yoshinobu Yamamoto has been virtually unhittable. And you wonder the reason why. This guy's got 4 pitches that he is highly effective in throwing, because he is so precise in where he can put that ball with all 4 of those pitches. Toronto tonight, they have to work the counts as best they can, which is not really something that they do. Part of what made the Jays 1 win away from winning a World Series for the first time since 1993 is their ability to put the ball in play and put pressure on your defense. They've got to do whatever they can tonight to make this guy throw pitches, because you saw it in Game 1 with Blake Snell when they worked him and they worked the counts and his pitch count blew up and they got to the Dodger bullpen. Again, another weakness of the Dodgers. And it sounds crazy with the Dodgers payroll to think of a weakness with the Dodgers being their bullpen, but that's the reality of this situation here. You know, Yamamoto threw his second complete game in Game 2, 9 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, struck out 8. First pitcher to have back-to-back starts with a complete game since Curt Schilling did it in 2001. Also the first pitcher to have multiple complete games in a postseason since Madison Bumgarner or the Giants. They've got to work the counts. They've got to do everything they can to get to that bullpen. You know the place is going to be rocking tonight. I cannot wait when we get to right before first pitch and the coverage breaks in. That place is going to be an absolute zoo tonight. Do the Blue Jays win a World Series on the last day of October? Or does our world champion come in November? That's the question. George Springer, obviously a catalyst, one of the best postseason players in baseball that we've seen in a long time. Per John Schneider, he's this is a direct quote, kind of checked every box physically so far. He is in line to play tonight in Game 6. He was on the fence about playing him in Game 5. Again, dealing with the strained muscles on his right side. Wanted to make sure he was ready for more than one at bat. And all of us old people know how I told my fiance last night. Now that we're into the time of the year where the weather's changing, I had a hell of a sneeze last night and was wondering if I needed to find a chair to do the show. I stand up all the time. A little jumpy. I move a lot. I'm at that age now where a sneeze can take me out of commission. Almost happened last night. Now you're talking about a guy trying to hit a 100-mile-an-hour fastball that's literally painted on a corner of a plate. You can re-aggravate that stuff real easy. But here's the question. And I made this comment when we were doing our summer shows, that this Jays team was giving me a lot of 1993 vibes. I thought we were going to get Phillies, Jays, World Series. That's the fool in me thinking that the Phillies were going to figure it out in October because clearly they can't. That's another team I can't wait to see their offseason. But what's the lasting image of this World Series? That's the question. And the 1993 vibes, you know what I'm talking about. For you youngins out there, what are the more famous pitchers in all of baseball history? Joe Carter. What do the Blue Jays do? How do they utilize Joe Carter to ramp up the crowd even more? Is it tonight? Is it tomorrow? Who knows? But what's the lasting image of the World Series going to be? We don't know. It very well could be this right here. It very well could be that. Or we have no idea what that moment's going to paint itself to be tonight. I'll have some more thoughts on this on our social channels a little bit later today at Mike Arana Show. We don't know. That could be the lasting image of this World Series, or we could be waiting to see what the lasting image is going to be tonight or tomorrow night. And good on us as sports fans that the college football slate this weekend is a little thin, because if there is a Game 7, it's going to be tomorrow night. When you look at the college football slate tomorrow night, we've got Cincinnati and Utah, big game in the Big 12. Game 7 has got a wide open runway tomorrow when it comes to the college football schedule. Billy V, check it in right here. I think this is an excellent point as well. It will help the Jays tremendously that they've seen him. And all the guys put the ball in play. Billy V calling for the series to end. Another World Series win in 6 games. It'll be interesting. It's going to be interesting. The NBA is off and rolling, and I want you to brace yourselves because as much as we all hate them, they're back tonight. The NBA Cup, the Emirates NBA Cup. And you know when we tell you we're a show for the people, about the people, for the people? I dumbed these down. These are not in full color, because if they were in full color when I put that picture up, you'd have just went like that. These are downright horrible. 6 teams went with the red court. Nobody got the memo that the all red court just doesn't jive. If you go to CBSSports.com, there is a great article on there that kind of shows you all the courts. A couple of them are really cool. kind of muted, not overtaking your eyes. But 6 teams went with red courts. I'm scrolling here because I want to give the guy credit, or the person credit. I'm pretty sure this was Jasmine Wimbush. Yes, Jasmine Wimbush from CBS Sports. Literally ranked all the courts in here from the worst to the best. An incredible line on the Toronto one. And again, that was the one of the red courts that I wanted to highlight. These are her words. The ramps on the Raptors court, the ransom note font mixed with the extremely aggressive shade of red makes this court the worst of the bunch. The Phoenix one, that orange is going to translate awful on television. The Lakers one, the highlighter yellow, just, it doesn't work. Oh, Vegas Mac is in his bag today. Yeah, they look like they were designed by Stevie Wonder. I don't get the Timberwolves either, giving us this, what looks like dinner mint and green. Some people have called it Mountain Dew. I don't get it. I understand that you want to promote this as it's something way bigger. But save my eyes, please. In this day and age of high-definition television, why are we doing this? Absolutely terrible. That Lakers one, when you see it like live and in action, ugh. A lot of games going on tonight as the Emirates NBA Cup opens. Prime Video doubleheader tonight. Celtics at Sixers. And the second game is Lakers at Grizzlies, all in NBA Cup play. Yeah, they're brutal. They're absolutely brutal. Interesting start to the season, though. We've talked about the Chicago Bulls here a lot. They're 4-0. They're at the top of the East. A team that seemingly has had no direction over the last couple of years. They're 4-0. The 76ers are 4-0. Bulls in action tonight at home. And you're welcome. The Bulls do not have a red court. So a team that very easily could have went red chose not to go red, and I appreciate them for that. If I remember correctly, I believe their court is gray. There's too many on this damn list. Yeah, it's gray. Black border, gray court, the stars from the Chicago flag down the center of the court. I think theirs looks actually pretty good. But the Bulls are 4-0. The other Bulls are a disaster. The Western Conference Bulls, Sacramento. That thing's going to blow up real quick, real big. That roster is flawed to all get out. Bulls play the Knicks tonight in Chicago. I'm kind of liking the mojo of this Bulls team. This Knicks team, 2-2 to start the season. You know, new coach, Mike Brown. It's going to take some time. They're playing an entirely different style. Everything's a different style than what Tom Thibodeau does in New York. Did in New York, I should say. So it'll take some time. I like the Bulls tonight. As a home dog, they've got some good mojo going. Some interesting things to start the season, too. This guy, who I have continually said is the best player in basketball. I know Wemby's doing some incredible things. But I'm not going to sit here and put Wemby on this pedestal that I don't feel like he's earned yet. The dude is the basketball version of Shohei Ohtani. He's a unicorn in what he can do at his size and his length. Nikola Jokic joins Oscar Robertson and Russell Westbrook, the only players in NBA history to start the season with 4 straight triple-doubles. And the fact that Joker's just the character that he is. This is one of my favorite clips from him up here. Pulling the microphone off the little stand because he is 7 feet tall and it doesn't quite equate mouth to torso length. It broke and he didn't know what to do. He's got that look like, oh, shit, am I going to have to pay for this? 4 straight triple-doubles to start the season. What he can do passing basketball as a big man, I think, doesn't get the credit that it deserves. Another guy who's off to a hell of a start to start the season? Austin Reeves. A couple nights ago against Minnesota, game winner. Almost like a Jordan-looking picture right there, right? 34, 10, and 5. 34 points, 10 assists, 5 rebounds a game to start the season for Austin Reeves. And it's good because LeBron is monitoring the situation as he awaits to return. You know, they tell us that the NBA Cup is done by a random draw. You know, they slot the teams by their records in groups at the end of the previous season, and then they randomly draw it based on the groups. So keep that in mind when I tell you this. West Group A, Oklahoma City, Minnesota, Sacramento, Phoenix, and Utah. That's West Group A. Well, you would look at that and go, wow, Minnesota and Oklahoma City. You know, Sacramento, Phoenix, Utah, all kind of the same team, trying to figure out what the hell is going on. But then you look at West Group C. Houston, Denver, San Antonio, Golden State, and Portland. Random draw my ass. Because, as we know, in the NBA Cup, when we get into the knockout stage, it's the 3 group winners, and then basically the best second place team out of the groups. That entire West Group C, with the exception of Portland, and I know Portland's off to a good start, but let's call it what it is here. Houston, Denver, Golden State, and San Antonio in the same group, and only 2 of those teams have a chance, or one of those teams has a chance to advance. The other team has to make sure that they're the best second place team. Random draw my ass. College football tonight, Friday Night Lights. Not the most overwhelmingly great schedule, but hey, as we know, we've got football every single day till the day before Thanksgiving. So we're not going to complain because we have football all the time. There's your slate for tonight. Of course, I've got some thoughts on it. Again, feel free to comment along if you're watching along. I still can't get over the hole that you were in this morning, Mac. Memphis and Rice. You know, we wonder, we're trying to figure out. It'll be interesting to see when the college football rankings come out who that group of 5 team that gets that spot is. Memphis flying high after beating South Florida. And here's the thing with Rice. Their defense, not good. Not good at all. But Rice is a very much a time of possession team. Game is at Rice tonight. And if they can ground the trio, and if you haven't watched Memphis play tonight, as you can see, the game's on about an hour before the World Series starts. Pop it on. This trio for Memphis on the offensive side of the ball, quarterback Brendan Lewis, running back Sutton Smith, and Cortez Braham, their wide receiver. They're really damn good. They're really effective moving the football. Hence why they're 7-1. But Rice likes to grind games into oblivion and play the time of possession thing. And if you can ice those guys by keeping them on the sideline, this is going to be interesting. Now, the number in most places, I didn't get a chance to look at all of them, but in most places is down to 13.5. I jumped on this on Sunday, and I got Rice at plus 14. Memphis coming in, as I said, high on that defeat of South Florida. I like Rice's chances tonight to kind of grind the game into oblivion. So I'm taking Rice. Again, I got him at plus 14. I still like him at plus 13.5. Obviously, the 14 a little bit better, but if you can get him at 13.5, that's the side I like. North Carolina and Syracuse. As Mac mentioned, you can get into this game for, you and a buddy for less than $10 can get into this game tonight. This one's going to hurt your eyes. Not going to be a fun one to watch. Now, North Carolina, I will say this. All the drama going into the season, the great start to the season. There's your ticket update. If you're in the area in Syracuse, you can still get in for $4 a ticket. If you really want to put yourself through that. You couldn't pay me $4 to go watch that game. But North Carolina has played better. We know the famous picture of Syracuse from earlier this season. Fran Brown has them running gassers after a game that they won. North Carolina has played better. And their defense up front, the front side of their defense, really good. If the game was in Chapel Hill, I'd probably feel a little different, but I flipped a coin and it landed on the home team. So I'm going to take Syracuse and lay less than a field goal in that game. But again, like the NBA courts, that one's going to hurt your eyes. So watch with caution. And then finally, speaking of hurting your eyes, the only other game tonight, Sam Houston State, the Bearcats, 0-7 at Louisiana Tech. And I'm not going to lie to you. You're going to say, no shit, Mike. At 0-7, Sam Houston State, not very good. Especially on defense. But this number is 16.5. It looks blurry to me. Hopefully it's not for you. 16.5, Louisiana Tech is favored by. Home game for them. Halloween. College kids, Halloween. Should be interesting. I think you can still get away with dressing up on Halloween. You're dressing if you're a college kid. After that, it's a kid's holiday. All you're doing if you're dressing up tonight is trying to take attention away from the kids. Don't do it. It's a bad look. Louisiana Tech likes to run tempo. They're a tempo team. Here's the problem. They're not very good at it. Inconsistent quarterback play. They've had guys in and out. But Louisiana Tech running a tempo offense is about as consistent as a post-Taco Bell fart. And they're favored by 16.5 because Sam Houston State is 0-7. At some point this season, Sam Houston State has to show up. And they've had a couple of games that have been close. In and out guys at quarterback when you're trying to run tempo for Louisiana Tech's not a good mix. So, if you're going to give me 16.5 points, I'm going to take 16.5 points with an 0-7 team here. Again, I advise you to watch with caution. Watch the NBA games with caution. Watch Syracuse and North Carolina, Sam Houston, Louisiana Tech. Watch those with caution. We know what most people are going to be watching tonight. The World Series. And thank God that the World Series is on Fox. Because by now, if you were up late like me last night, you saw it happen literally as it happened. If you haven't figured this out or seen it prior to today, I'm sorry. But like a lot of people did this morning, they woke up this morning on YouTube TV and went to watch whatever they wanted to watch. Sports Center, Pat McAfee Show, whatever you watch. And it wasn't there. Because we're in another carriage dispute of a streaming network and one of their providers. They didn't come to an agreement by their midnight Eastern time deadline last night. And YouTube TV has lost anything that has to do with Disney. How it pertains to us as sports fans, pretty obvious. ABC and everything that has to do with ESPN. Anybody else see this coming the day that ESPN launched their new next generation app that they called ESPN? Because I did. Here's the next thing that'll happen in this whole streaming thing. One of these streaming platforms is going to get in bed with a TV manufacturer. And their network's only going to be available on that specific TV. Some of you already know the struggle. For me, it's Samsung TVs, and they don't play MLB.TV. So if I want to watch, and I only have one Samsung TV, I'm going to be honest with you, I hate the thing. I can't wait until I get a chance to replace it. So if I want to watch baseball games, whether they're not blacked out, which is a rarity, on my Samsung TV, I have to do it through purchasing the MLB Extra Innings, MLB.TV, whatever the hell they want to call it today, on Amazon Prime so I can actually watch it on my Samsung TV. But that'll be the next thing that happens, is one of these streaming platforms is going to get in bed with the TV manufacturer, and you're only going to be able to watch their thing on supported devices, which will probably only be that TV. And I'm going to be honest with you right now. If YouTube TV didn't have the NFL Sunday Ticket, I don't really think YouTube TV is worth a damn to me. Maybe you're out there, you agree with me. Maybe you think YouTube TV is great. But outside of sports, here you go. Here's a little insight to my life. What do I watch? I watch anything that Dick Wolf puts together. Mainly the one Chicago shows, Law & Order, SVU. Talk about consistency and building a dynasty. Dick Wolf. Dick Wolf could run a lot of the teams in professional sports right now. Hell, Dick Wolf would probably be a great owner for teams like the Pirates and other teams that choose to try not to compete. So I watch those shows. I can get those on Peacock. The shows that he makes that aren't on Peacock, I can get those on Ion. Do I watch the latest episodes on Ion? No, but Ion comes free on smart TVs. If YouTube TV didn't have the NFL Sunday Ticket, I wouldn't have it. Because I just don't really... There's nothing on there that I'm like, oh, great, I got to have YouTube TV for this. I now have Hulu and Disney Plus. Fiance uses Disney Plus. We haven't even logged on to Hulu, but I got it when I bought the new ESPN app because it was bundled with Disney Plus and Hulu Plus. I don't even know what to watch on Hulu Plus. And again, I will say this, and I've said this a couple times, I don't hate streaming. DirecTV was bending people over the barrel for years. I mean, between DirecTV and Verizon, God, I feel like I've been ripped off for half of my adult life. That's why I got rid of Verizon. That's why I got rid of DirecTV. But here we are sitting in this situation here, going into a football weekend. That creates a lot of issues for a lot of people. Show for the people, by the people, about the people. So here's my suggestion. You can buy the ESPN app, but then you have to have a situation like I have in the studio here. I've got two TVs. Well, now I can't multi-box between Fox and CBS and ESPN on two TVs. I have to have one just on ESPN so I can watch the ESPN games, and the other one where I can hopefully multi-box CBS and NBC and the other channels. Now, YouTube TV, you can customize your multi-view. Not really, because you only get certain options. If I was really able to customize my multi-view, I'd be able to have golf, baseball, basketball, and football on a multi-view. That's customizing a multi-view. Remember last year they were like, hey, it's coming soon. You're going to be able to customize your multi-view, not get the set ones for you. Well, now it's here. It still sucks. So here's your options. You can buy the new ESPN app. You can sign up for a free trial somewhere that gives you the ESPN networks and hope they settle this dispute on YouTube TV fast enough. I love all the people in the comments, too, that are like, well, no, YouTube is going to bat for us. No, Disney is going to... You don't know a damn thing about anything. None of us do. We're not in the boardrooms with Google and Disney fighting this out. A couple years ago, I think it was DirecTV, if I remember correctly, that had a dispute with ESPN. And on their platforms, ESPN wasn't available for almost like 2 weeks. So if you're sitting here like a lot of people are on this Friday going, what the hell is going to happen tomorrow if they don't fix this? Sign up for a free trial somewhere and cancel it. Sign up for the ESPN app. If you make me a big enough offer, I might let you log into Hulu Plus. Just kidding. I won't. Because I'm not even logged into Hulu Plus. But none of us should be surprised. One of the guys that does a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff for us tries to make us look good, which is, trust me, this guy should be getting $1 million a year from us to try and make us look good. But we were talking about this the other day, and when the ESPN new app called ESPN came out, I said, watch, we're going to have another carrier dispute. And here we are. I don't hate streaming. I like the ability to take the game with me wherever. And as I said, I had DirecTV for a lot of years. Bend over the barrel is putting it nicely for what DirecTV did. And this is the day and age of where sports is. It's streaming. That's what it's going to be. You can fight it all you want. It's where it is. And I don't hate it. But this is the ridiculous part. And from the sounds of it and what you can read between the tea leaves, it doesn't sound like this thing is going to be handled and settled before College game day tomorrow morning. And I'm sorry, the big noon kickoff does nothing for me. Funny thing rolling around on X right now. College game day is finally going to a Big 12 school because they're going to be at Utah. Oh, see, they finally went to conspiracy theorists. They're having a ball this morning. Dress up in a tin hat. There you go. If you're an adult, dress up with your tinfoil hat and conspiracy theories that the reason that this happened today was because college game day was going to a Big 12 school. No, that's not why it happened. But you got options. You might have to do a little bit of legwork on a Friday if you want to see the ESPN games. And there's some pretty damn good ones. There's some pretty damn good ones this weekend. I would venture to say that most of the good games, ironically, this weekend are on the ESPN family of networks. Georgia, Florida, Texas, Vandy, Miami, SMU, Notre Dame, Boston College. Not that that's going to be a good game. I mean, but if you followed Mac's big spread, you've got watching interest there. Can Notre Dame cover the big number? Mac got it at 28.5. I hope you followed him on Wednesday when he put that out, because if you're on that side, because now it's at 29.5. That's another one. Virginia and Cal, a big game for Virginia, also on ESPN. South Carolina and Ole Miss. Georgia Tech and NC State. Oklahoma, Tennessee. Cincinnati, Utah. Massive game in the Big 12. Those are all games on ESPN. So you got to pivot quick. I know you can do it. I have faith. Sign up for a free trial somewhere that carries the ESPN networks. The other favorite thing is people on X right now going, what are you going to offer us to move? They don't care about you. It's all about lining some executive's pocket. So do them a favor. Boost their streaming numbers because you signed up. And the reason that you signed up is because ESPN's networks were not on YouTube TV. And then cancel it. And then when they have their next reports, their next group meetings in the big conference rooms whose conference tables cost more money than your house does, why'd the numbers drop? Well, apparently we didn't have good enough value to keep anybody. I don't think from the looks of it and the sounds of it, I hope it does. Because again, a lot of us that do love the NFL, do love sports in general. We're on YouTube TV because of the Sunday ticket package. But you have options. Pivot. I know it's not what you want to do on a Friday. If you got kids, you're going to be out trick-or-treating. We'll be out tossing out candy in the driveway. I will have the World Series game on. Probably going to scare a kid when something happens. It is what it is. Either way, no matter if we have to do a little digging, we've got a hell of a sports weekend set up in front of us. Next week, we'll be back on Tuesday night in our customary spot. Again, as some of you are changing times, this is important to remember. We deal with this nonsense in Arizona. We don't actually change our clocks, but we move time zones at this time of the year. So remember, all of our stuff here, always on Pacific time. So 5:30 Pacific, those of you in Arizona, on Tuesday night, that means we'll be on at 6:30 Arizona time. Show times are always going to stay Pacific. So 5:30 on Tuesday and Wednesday night on Pacific time. Thursday and Friday, 11:30 Pacific time. Lunchtime live, right in the same position right here. And we've got some exciting stuff coming up next week that I can't wait to tell you about. Follow us on all of our social channels at Mike Arana Show everywhere but Snapchat, because we're not 12 and Snapchat sucks. Big Mac kickoff tonight. I'll have some World Series thoughts. Those are the next two that go out on that channel, on those social channels. Saturday after dark game is USC Nebraska. TBD on some of the other stuff on Saturday. And Saturday night, we are dropping the Sunday spread. 1-4 last week after 2 winning weeks for me in the NFL on Sundays. Got a bad taste in my mouth. Thankfully, I was able to grab some booty for a touchdown last week. Otherwise, it would have been an 0-5 week. So I'm chomping at the bit. The Sunday spread will be out Saturday night. Get on those things early. Or fade me is also a wise course of action most of the time. But we appreciate all of you. We couldn't do this without all of you. Tag your friends. Tell your friends. Follow us everywhere that there is. Be with us next Tuesday, because while we're on the air next Tuesday, the World Series will be over. The NFL trade deadline will have completed by the time we get on the air, and the college football rankings will be out right about the time that we're on. I think they start a little bit before us. We're going to see it. We're going to react to it, Mac and myself, on Tuesday, just like you will. And we'll see who gets screwed. I'm a little worried about BYU's placement. I've already said that. They're not playing on what is a statement weekend for a lot of teams. So, for my two co-hosts, Jesus, I'm going to work on English this weekend. Vegas, Mac, and TJ. For everybody behind the scenes, I'm Mike. Best of luck figuring out what's going on in your streaming. Make the pivot. Do what you got to do. I have faith in you. You'll get it done. Everywhere at Mike Arana Show on the socials. I'm Mike. We'll talk to you next week.